Today I'm with Rick Young. This guy needs absolutely no introduction. I'm going to embarrass him horrendously. Sorry, Rick. Rick's the main influence why I do JKD, and he's pretty much one of the main influences why I started martial arts. You know, I'm going to embarrass him because I know he only looks about 3 years older than me. But I used to follow your exploits through Combat Magazine and everything, and it was hugely inspirational to me. So it's, you know, man needs no introduction. It is, you know, Rick Young. He's just awesome. So Rick, we're going to have to start at the beginning. Why did you start martial arts?
Started in 1975.
Yep.
I had a really good friend of mine called Sean Shanley.
Yeah.
And Sean was, you have to excuse me because I've got a really bad cold, but Sean, I'd been training at that time at the Edinburgh Club, which is a legendary club in Edinburgh. It's a judo club.
Yeah.
He had 3 instructors. One was George Kerr, who is now the 10th dan.
Yeah.
Jimmy Delaney, who was his throne coach, and Morris Allen. Morris was more a groundwork specialist. He's now living in Virginia in America, and he's a 7th degree black belt now in judo, and as well as a 1st degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. And so Sean's influence was from there. It was around the Kung Fu, you know, era. You know, Bruce Lee had just died, you know. So Sean started showing me some stuff, and it blew my mind. It was amazing to watch him, and I just couldn't believe what he was doing. So Sean started sharing with me some of the karate that he'd learned, some of the boxing, and a lot of the judo, a lot of the groundwork. So he was mixing it in, and then filtering it through to me. So that was about 1975. Then in 76, I started to train with Sensei Hamish Adam, who was Wado Ryu exponent, who was a legend at the time. He was 3rd in the world in Wado Ryu, and he was incredible. He's a huge influence on me. I trained with Hamish for about 6 years, 6.5 years. And at the same time as I was training with Sean and training with Hamish, I would go down to the boxing gym and I would do boxing, and I was going to the wrestling as well at Meadowbank where the karate was. So we were kind of, I was getting a lot of different influences there. And that's where it started. Of course, the first book I ever saw, a martial art book, was a Bruce Tegner book. Which was like kind of kung fu jiu-jitsu tricks, you know, and it had little things like little handshakes and stuff you could do if somebody tried to handshake you and trip you up or whatever. And that's really where it started, seeing Bruce Lee's posters for Enter the Dragon, going to see the Bruce Lee movies when I was still underage, which I shouldn't have been doing, but I did. So all of that was together, and so training with Sean first, he gave me an incredible foundation, incredible martial artist, but beyond belief. And then training with Sensei Hamish Adam in 76, training in boxing and wrestling concurrently, you know. And then in 79, September the 22nd, 1979, I came down to London, I seen Guru Dan, and he just blew my mind.
Now this is a point where I have to look into the camera on this because this is an important one. I know this story, I've heard quite a lot of this, and you know, first of all, I'm really honoured the fact that, you know, first of all, to meet you was a great thing. Then you know, then to become a friend, it was just unbelievable. As I've said before, you know, one of the greatest things in my life was to meet you and Terry Barnett and Bob Breen and Phil Norman and Rick Fay, and then obviously Guru Dan. But there's a story and an anecdote that I love about you and Sean getting ready for the first time you were going to train with Guru Dan in Osanto, and you had a training regimen. I remember you mentioning it to me.
Well, that was actually the following year when I first met Guru Dan. That was 79. At the same time, he had the first seminar here. I never went on his seminar, but I met him when he did the demonstration.
Was that in Birmingham?
No, that was in London actually. Central Halls in London. And then, and I'd said to him at that time, because he was getting me to sign my books, he was doing a big book sign, I said, I was a 17-year-old kid, and I said, Mr. Nosanto, I'd like to come and train with you. And he said, sure kid, no problem. And I was like, no, really, I want to come and train with you. And remember, this is 1979, it's a long time ago. So he said, sure kid, and I was really rude because I took a hold of his arm. I said, no, seriously, I'm going to come and train with you, and I'm going to be your student. And he went, okay, I'll see you then. And it was 5 years before I actually got to see him in LA. It was 84 before I went, before I could get the money to go. But the following year, 1980, Sean and I went down to Birmingham to see him. And as that story is, the night before we were going to go down, Sean said we should do something. This is like 11 o'clock at night. He said we should do something to prove we're worthy of going to see Guru Dan. So basically, I went home and I did like 3,500 sit-ups. It took 3.5 hours. Sean did 5,000 sit-ups, and I think we did about 800 to 1,000 press-ups.
Wow.
And that was just to prove that actually we were worthy to meet this man because we thought so highly of him. We thought, well, we don't want to go there being, you know, not out of shape, but we don't want to be there having not put in a really hard training session.
Yeah.
So that was really just to say, listen, at least we'll put some time in to meet this man.
Yeah.
And then when we met him on a seminar in Birmingham, he was absolutely outstanding. I mean, just on a whole different level. I mean, incredible.
Completely. He's the first person that you meet, and most people, if they're smart, they just see him immediately and they'll recognise genius. And I, you know, that sounds really cliched, but he's just unbelievable. Right. So Rick, you mentioned when you first went over to LA, right? I personally know the sacrifices, the amount of work you did to pay to go over there. You know, you held down 2 jobs, but when I mean 2 jobs, it wasn't like 15 hours one place and 20 hours the other, was it? Yeah.
It was, you know, for me, when I always wanted to go and train with Guru Dan, and it was August 1978 when I got my first pay slip from. I was working as a furniture deliverer in a furniture store. I remember putting £10 in the bank, and that was the beginning. I still have the bank book actually, of when I wanted to really go. And then subsequent to that, you know, things happened. It was hard to get the money, and then I worked on the door. You know, I worked on the door quite a bit, and then I worked as a labourer on the building site, and then subsequent to that, I worked as a postman 6 days a week, concurrently with being a doorman for 3 days a week. You know, and it was tough. You know, and it is tough. But if you want something, especially when you're young like that, you know, you really want something and it really means so much to you, do you think actually it's a privilege to be able to get the money and then go and see this man? And I've always felt that with Guru Dan. A lot of people were just saying, a lot of people feel that they pay money and then right away, okay, I deserve this.
Yeah.
But I go, well, I'm paying money, but I could never pay him enough. And I say that to him all the time. I go, Guru, if I could give you $1 million, £1 million for what you're giving me, I would give you $10 million, £10 million. Because you can't put a price on it, you know. It's how much you're prepared to go for it. It's like Mark Preston, my judo instructor. When I've been his only private student, and I was working the doors to pay for the privates that I was getting from him. And he said to me, he put me off for 3 months. He didn't want me to. Really? He just put me off. I kept phoning him. I kept saying to him, and he put me off. And he goes, and he told me years later, he goes, Rick, he goes, I knew then that you were willing to sweat blood for me.
Yeah.
To get it. And he goes, that's why I took you on. And I went, oh, that's great, that's really cool. I never realised that. But he was putting me off all the time. So, but I think it's a privilege to learn this material, to learn from a Guru Dan Inosanto, who is just on a different planet.
He's the Mozart of our generation in martial arts, easily. You know?
He's of yeah, I think you're right, and of many generations. You know, I met lots of great people, and they're all great. You know, there's met so many different people who are fantastic. But there is something different about him. He's just an amazing human being, an amazing person, as well as being an amazing martial artist. And his work ethic is insane, absolutely insane.
Do you mind sharing it? I was going to ask another question, but I remember you telling me, we sat down and we were talking about how you just shadowed Guru for a day, and you got up in the morning and you tried to keep up with his regimen. And you went and took a bit of a break. Halfway through, was it? I
think I'm really privileged, because if I go to LA now, a lot of times he'll ask me if I want to go and do a private. He does a lot of private lessons during the day, but he is taught, and he'll say, "Do you want to come with me here? Do you want to come with me there?" And at that time, that particular day, he started yoga. I think it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and he said, "Do you want to come with me, Rick?" So he picked me up at 5:45. Excuse me. We went to yoga. Then I think it was jiu-jitsu. Then it was. I think it was jiu-jitsu, and then it was kettlebells, and then it was another jiu-jitsu lesson, and then we had lunch, and then he went to a strength and conditioning lesson, and then he went to another jiu-jitsu lesson, and then he said, okay, let's have a little break, and then we're going to drive down to Orange County, where he did a three and a half hour seminar. And then by the time we got back to LA, it was I think about 12 at night, and he said, Rick, he said, do you want, and I was absolutely out of it, right? Yeah. And he said, Rick, do you want to meet up tomorrow at 6 o'clock? I went, yeah, no problem, girl. And as I left, as I said no problem to him, as I left the car, I was like, man, I'm dying here. I'm going to see him. And I thought, I still haven't eaten. So I had to go back to the hotel. I had to eat, get to bed about 1:30, and then get up at 5:30, get a shave,
and
get a shower.
How many years ago is this?
That was about 96, 95, something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was. One of the stories you've told me, which I like, because most people can. First of all, it's just the way he moves is awesome. You know, we've been at seminars where there's just been this spontaneous round of applause when he does stuff, and you don't really process his age.
Yeah.
And then when you look at, because as Rick Fay always says, he moves like a 20-year-old, but I wish we could find a 20-year-old that moved that well, you know? Yeah. But I remember you said that when you went to the Uno Santo Academy the first time, and you told me that you were the same age as Guru was at that time, and it was like a sort of like a crystalline moment for you.
The first time I was there, I think I was half his age actually, because I was 22 and he was about 44 or 43, so maybe a little bit older. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but I think what sets him apart is he has a childlike wonder.
Yeah.
He doesn't have no ego, because of course he has an ego, everybody does, but he has very little ego, and so he'll learn off anybody. And that sense of wonder aligned with the ability to find different people we were going to teach him. We were high level people we were going to teach him, aligned with an incredible work ethic. I mean, a beyond belief work ethic, which I can't even say I wish I had it, because to work that hard would kill me. I mean, and he has such an incredible work ethic there. And I think that stems a lot from his father, from his mother, from how he was brought up. So he's just on a totally different level, and align that with an incredible sense of humility. Yeah. And you've got a really special human being. I mean, every human being is special. Everybody's special in some way. Yeah. But he really is on a different level. So when you're with him, you know, you can feel like a sloth, you know. You think I'm training quite hard for this, but actually I feel like a sloth, because you're comparing yourself to not one of the greatest martial artists of not just the generation of this century that I've seen and I've read up on, you know. And everybody kind of, when we go into martial arts, we look for that man in Tibet or the man in the mountain we were going to go to, and he's going to be Bao, and he gives us the secrets, and we're going to levitate, we're going to do this. He's there. Yeah. And and that's part of the reason why I've continued to train with him, because he's available, he's there.
And he's ridiculously generous with everything.
He's incredibly generous.
There's no secret. Yeah, I always come out with the line secret stuff, because there is no secret stuff. It's
he's
just
incredibly.
But he will give away anything, you know. Yeah. Like he was he was 59 when he started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu correctly, right?
57,
and 57, right. And our mutual friend Braulio Estima says he is legit. Yeah. You know, it's like...
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and that's in every single art, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
If you don't mind sharing a story about when you first went there and he was cleaning up the gym and you tried to help him?
Well, as I was saying, he's an incredibly humble man, and he when I was the only one in the academy with him, I arrived early and he was sweeping up. And I said to him, Guru, you know, I'll sweep up for you. And he said, no. I said, don't worry about that, Rick. Richard, he called me at the time. Richard, don't worry about that. And I said, no, Guru, it's okay. I'll take the brush. And we argued back and forward for about 2 minutes. And then eventually he took a magazine. He said, read the magazine. He said, I'm going to brush up. And the incredible thing for me was, first of all, who he is. Secondly, I'm the student. I should be the one doing the brushing up or cleaning up. And the fact that he had nobody to impress there. It was just between him and I. And what he was doing, was a sense of genuine, actually saying, listen, you visited here and you've come a long way. And he said that to me, sit down and I'm going to do this, you know. And I did. I sat down. I felt really embarrassed about it. I felt really terrible. And actually, when I think about it, I still do. But that's the sense of him, because he has that ability to bow or to put himself in a position where he will be not a weaker position, but a position where of less importance than actually you would give him normally, you know. And he's just an amazing human being like that, I think, you know. He'll subjugate himself. He'll subjugate himself in place of helping someone else, you know.
Yeah, I've told my wife this, because my wife's not interested in martial arts at all. And a couple of years ago, we were in Germany. We went out for a meal, and Rick Fay actually positioned it so I sat next to Guru for the whole meal, and he was more interested in my life than and he was asking me about my family and everything, and I'm like, this is Dan Ino Santo, you know, and it is like just the positive effect that I read a quote. Read a quote on the internet. You should never believe it, right? That's what Abraham Lincoln says, anyway,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
But it was. I don't know who it came from. It might have been Daniel Lanero, but I don't know. And it said that there's a pretty good chance that there's nobody on the planet who's been able to directly affect so many people. First of all, not connected to him, but then the amount of people that have some sort of even a tangential link. And I've racked my brain to try and work this one out. And can you think of anyone?
Well, maybe the Gracies. I don't know, but I don't know what the numbers would be. I do know there is that almost exponential thing going on there. I don't know, but I do know that his influence is huge. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the numbers or anything like that, but his influence is absolutely massive and far wider and far bigger than if he just set up a fighters camp or had a bunch of fighters that he got and everybody won or 10 people won a title and we go, he's a great coach because he had 10 fighters, we won this and the other. His idea was more to spread the art and to spread the culture of those arts as well, so as it would bring people together, you know. And that's a huge thing as well, because behind the whole martial art thing, when you look at, he's teaching the Southeast Asian martial arts, you know, he's teaching Western martial arts, he's teaching Japanese, he's teaching this, he's teaching that, he's got other people teaching at school, French, you know, and when you go into these arts, you also learn about the culture a little bit, and you also have an appreciation for other cultures, which in the world we're living in now, where there's so much separation and so much
really
incredible, you know, distrust and hate between certain cultures and religions and whatever, that he's saying, okay, let's bring us together, okay, through paradoxically a violent thing, something which you're actually teaching someone to hurt somebody with. Yeah. But as he said, that's only done out of love, for love of life, you know. So there's a whole bunch of stuff involved in here where he's spreading a really very, very important message on multi-layered and multi-leveled, and almost subliminally, you know, where he's throwing us in, which again is a sign of an amazing teacher. And as I say, I'm just incredibly privileged to actually know the man, and that the man knows my name, and to be his student, not to be a senior field instructor, not to be this, not to be that, but which is great as well, of course, but to be under that man. That's really what's important.
And be in the company. You see, this thing today, actually, we're here for the JKD tribe. As you can see, very stylishly modelled by Professor Young right here. And hopefully this is going to be an annual event, right? And we're going to bring it together.
I'm not sure about that.
But that's what Bob's trying to get it. And I think it's a great idea. If possible, we could do it.
Okay.
We're going to have to wrap it up because Rick's actually got to go and teach some of the secret stuff now, as they call it. But I'd just like to say, and I'm looking straight into the camera now because I mean this. I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. You've really influenced me in so many ways.
Thanks so much.